Welcome to Business Beyond Borders, the go-to podcast for CPA firms seeking transformative insights. I'm your host, Lawrence Whittam, and with each episode we'll uncover key insights, best practices, and invaluable resources tailored for CPAs. From trending strategies to diving deep into outsourcing and offshoring, our experts will help in all areas of your business. Hey everybody, welcome back to Business Beyond Borders. So I have a very exciting guest today, Seth Fineberg. I'm sure many people know who he is, or at least have read a number of articles by him over the years. So hey, Seth, how you doing?
I'm doing great, mate. Thank you so much for having me. True story, Lawrence and I just sort of met at a networking event late last year, and really just hit it off. And I think we share a lot of similar ideas about the profession. And I'm looking forward to the questions you have for me today. Any chance to share any of my thoughts on the great accounting profession is a welcome opportunity for me.
Yeah, no, greatly appreciated, Seth. And yeah, to give everyone a rough idea today. So we'll go into, again, a bit of a background about Seth for those that don't know, but also again, what's his view on the accounting profession, how we sit. Obviously, he talks to a lot of accountants. He talks to a lot of leaders in the profession. So he's able to sort of bring everything together a little bit and give his own opinion on it as well. And like Seth said, we met up again recently at the Digital CPA conference, but also I'm pretty sure we sat for a whiskey years ago with a few guys from Accounting Web as well, right when you were there. So, but that was...
Indeed, we did.
It might have been QuickBooks Connect or something like that. It was one of the bigger ones. But and then we'll also, speaking of events, we'll ask Seth what his opinion. I know you've posted something recently on a few events. So whatever your top events are for this year,
yeah,
it'd be cool to share a couple. So
happy to do that. I did recently just read about that, so it's all fresh in my head.
So why don't you give a bit of a background, because you're in a new role yourself, right? So tell everybody a bit about Accountants Forward. And I love how you sort of put it that although it's Accountants Forward, it's a business about you at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, so I needed to come up with, I thought, a snappy name. And I realized it served two purposes. So one was that, this is a legitimate, business. It's a business concern that I started with the purpose of what the name says. I want nothing more in my professional life than to see the accounting profession move forward. Those who know me know how passionate I am about this. I've spent 22 and change years overseeing the accounting profession in a variety of editorial roles. Most recent with Accounting Web for nearly 8 years. When they closed the doors here in the US, I needed to figure out what was my next move. And I had enough firms and people that I know and trust in the vendor community, in just thought leadership, whatever you want to call it, people that I know and trust, pretty much all indicated that they really wanted me to kind of stay around as this independent voice in the profession. But I needed to figure out how to make a business out of that. So it took me a good year or so to really kind of get rolling with it. I feel like it's starting to click. People are starting to talk to me, reach out to me independently. So the whole purpose is really to see a better connection between the vendor community that is looking to sell to or through accountants or accounting professionals, and also just to see them have a better connection likewise with the vendors that are looking to serve them, and also to try to give them a voice too. Look, content is what I know. This is all kind of a quasi marketing type of role, but with the eye towards really seeing the profession move forward. Now, I also, obviously I do a fair bit of public speaking. I am on the board advisory committees for a couple of new live events that are out there, which we'll get to. And, it's all part of this business of me, as you said. So it's really, I could maybe see hiring a little bit here or there, or getting some assistance as things continue to grow. But by and large, people are engaging with me for me, my thoughts, my opinions, my views, and I don't necessarily want to take a front face to anything. I'm happy to work behind the scenes to help businesses. And organically, I've had some accounting firms reach out, accounting firm leaders reach out to me and say, hey, look, this content thing, there's something to it. And, we're doing, this, that, and the other, but we really don't know very much, admittedly, what we're doing and how things could be, or how things could be better. And some of them just want to organize, their approach. So I'm happy to sit in their corner too, because accountants, their first job is their clients, right? Yep. It's to serve the business community, serve individuals to the best of their ability. And, writing and putting content out there is not. But they realize that they need to put themselves out there too. So again, organically, I'm finding myself in those conversations and working out ways that I can help out some of these individuals to, so their voices get out there too. So I don't really make this entirely about me.
Yeah, now with obviously that's the focus of you and Accountants Forward, and obviously you've got your ear to the ground all the time. You're producing content really across the profession, right? In different areas, looking at technology, looking at the staffing side of things, looking at problems coming up now. And obviously I'm focusing a little bit more on that staffing element now. So when we talk about that, like, and you've been in the industry now for 20 plus years, like you've seen the development over the years, like how it's transitioned. What do you see where we are today compared to where we were 5-10 years ago for the profession, just from how firms act? And would love to get your opinion on that side of things.
Well, I think the obvious thing is from a staffing point of view, I think that there is sort of a ripple effect going on that was really felt most from the pandemic itself. But I think there was some of the rumblings had started before that. This idea of being in a connected world as we are, using the technology that we do, the writing was on the wall to really see more of this how we work kind of thing. And then, people knowing that you can work in a variety of ways, the idea of being physically in an office or at a client didn't necessarily mean that's how work is going to get done. Yeah. Because clearly with technology, the professional is still the professional. They don't necessarily need that full-time, role. And once, 2020 hit and continued for some firms, didn't start even having people back to the office for a good 3 years or more. And even that starts to look different. So the ripple effect that had was on, well, we saw it across every business sector. People saw it as, the quiet quitting, the great quit, and all, all of that. It hit the accounting profession too, because they were, really on the front lines dealing with the IRS, dealing with all the changes coming out of the government, dealing with, literally businesses that were on life support. And it was up to, they were running triage in a financial sense that, they were trying to keep some of these businesses alive. These are their clients. This is their livelihoods. And it was the accountants that were trying to do this. So it really had this somewhat adverse effect, I think, emotionally, physically, and everyone kind of really starting to adjust their values of what they value most. And again, it's not just in the accounting profession too, but in the accounting profession, how the work was done is changing, and they're demanding that it change. They're demanding more of their own time. So this idea of life-work balance, which is what I'm calling it, I've heard it called that before. I want it to be a thing because, Lawrence, what does it do? It puts life first. It's not work-life balance because then you're putting work first.
Yeah.
It's not, and again, this isn't about slacking off. This isn't about doing a less of a job. Quite the opposite. It's just showing where your values are and what your priorities are. And it also is going to help you to be a better professional. So my long way around to this with staffing is that unless firms are able to truly offer that, like, look, flexibility with how you work and how you live, as long as work is getting done and that you're getting paid, fair and equitable. And that's a whole other thing, my friend.
Yeah.
The salaries and starting salaries in the accounting profession really have not kept up with the times. They haven't kept up with just the reality of business and the level of talent, coming in, the level of education that you have to get, forget. And then, then if you're going to go for your CPA itself, you can't have someone, coming into the profession and not having it be, still having it be this, just really not being compensated for, for your level of skills, even at the junior level. I think that, starting salaries need to be, more fair and equitable. And it just has to be, attractive. Otherwise, look, a lot of what's going on. You see the statistics coming out of the ICPA and elsewhere that, folks are not going into public practice. They're choosing to, maybe, start up businesses or go into, part of finance teams. And even there, that needs to be, fair and equitable as well. And so we're having this issue now of less people to do the work. Now, I get that that's been a trend for some time, is that, with technology, you don't have to necessarily bill by the hour anymore. You don't have to, and that prevents you from having to do volume work. You can do value work instead of volume. So you don't need as many clients. But at the end of the day, the work still has to get done. And it's still a very glaring factor that, that you don't have that that life work balance. You don't have the fair and equitable. And then here's a third thing that I'm railing about: diversity. It's a topic that a lot of folks don't want to talk about because it either makes them uncomfortable or they don't feel like they have much of a say or can say much on the topic. Bottom line is everyone has a say in employing staff and working with companies as well that are, reflect the world that we're in. It's not a white male world, and it has not been in quite some time. And the accounting profession, when I first started, you had mentioned this, one of the biggest issues was that there was only, and this was about 20 plus years ago, you had at the firm leadership level, you had maybe 2% that were female. 2%. That has clearly changed.
Yeah. And
now people of color, about the same 2% in firm leadership. To me, that's sad. It's like, what? We're in 2024 here, my friend.
Yeah.
Hire people on their level of talent and what they can bring to your clients and to a client base. That's it.
And it is a combination, right? It's a combination of quite a lot of things, quite a lot of major factors.
So I know really that was a nebulous answer, but there's a lot of factors to just the staffing issue. It's not just one thing. The 150 hours thing for CPAs to get your CPA, sure. I could see it as a deterrent for some, and some would even argue, and I agree, that there is, some, it's not as inclusive to, Black and Latino professionals statistically.
Yeah.
Tends to not really favor, that group of individuals. And that's not right. I mean, we see it in our education system too. And again, this is not necessarily an easy answer, but it has to start with making real committed decisions at the firm leadership level. And then the whole partner path thing and partner hours. And again, this is just, more relevant to the CPA world, which has historically had this partner path thing. And a lot of folks, this whole or career path, even it's like, well, I get out, I'm a young, junior accountant, getting my CPA, or maybe I got my CPA, and you're expected to work 60, 80 hours, weekends, whatever, and do audits and, grunt work, the grunt work.
Yeah.
You're on the front lines, doing the grunt work. And maybe in 10 years, you'll make partner, depending on your billable hours. That's not fun.
Yeah.
Flat out. Just going to be blunt about it. It's just not a career that necessarily people want, just because, well, this is how it is. This is how it's always been. It's time for how it's always been to change. It's past time, my friend. Past time for the way it is to change. And I think it has to start at the leadership level.
Yeah. Yeah. And becoming, again, more comfortable with those uncomfortable topics, right? At the end of the day. And that's part of the reason for creating.
Living in the uncomfortable. Yeah, living there for a bit.
Yeah. Yeah. And it has to start from the leaders realistically in the first. And I hear, people will say, okay, it starts at the AICPA. It starts. But again, I think they can only do so much, right? At the end of the day, like they'll put it out there. They'll say this
firm
is the
leaders.
challenge.
It's
the owners, it's the firms, correct, that need to really do it as a, and now, and putting that life work position in place, right? Just to break it down, like, can you give, what can a firm, when we talk about culture within this profession, right? Inside firms, whether it's a small firm, whether it's a big firm, like, what can firm leaders do from a small perspective, even just a couple of things, to move towards that life work balance, which is going to make their business more attractive, but also just make it more attractive for people looking at the industry itself? What are a couple of like actionable steps?
I've seen a lot of small things. Don't have to come in certain days of the week. Not a requirement. You choose, or maybe the firm chooses. Maybe they just really realistically look, how many days a week do we actually need you physically here? And again, I'm not all for fully remote. Let's get that clear. Because otherwise live events wouldn't happen and all that. No, there is something to a firm culture to being able to be together, exchange ideas, meet up. We're going to have, all right, this is the day we do this. Have some purpose. Agree. Have some purpose to it. Maybe end of the week, maybe there's something. End of the month, firm bonding, we go. We just do, we do lunch, we do, I don't know, go out into the community. I know some of the bigger firms very active in their communities. They enjoy that. They enjoy giving back to the businesses and people that they serve.
Yeah.
Just something that says, we care about you and your time. And both of us are parents. You're a new parent. Okay. Really don't physically expect you to be here for a few months, not a few weeks. Because that those first 2 to 3 months are intense. How do you expect someone to be, oh, we need you physically back here? No, you can still check in from home while your child's napping, or they're getting some care, what have you. Maybe even offer some childcare options from the get-go. Like, I know most daycare, we couldn't get our child in, and that's fine. I think it totally makes sense. The earliest we could get into daycare around here was 3 months. And they were all set up to do that. And we would supply them with whatever they needed, take care of our child. But those first 3 months, why should it just be, for the mother. It's parents. You're a team.
Yeah, I'll mention outside
whether your
of
partner,
the industry.
male, female, it doesn't matter. Like it's your partner. If you're in a partnership with someone, that is, you are the parents, and you need to be there for those sort of crucial times. So having that flexibility, things happen, and as you know, yours are 2 and 4. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Doctor appointments, things come up.
Yeah. Correct.
Something gets sick. Oh man, I gotta.
It's a priority. Yeah.
We've had times where, kid, we went to drop off for the day, went to drop him off daycare, and they're like, oh yeah, we don't really like, he's got a little kind of rash on the back of his head. We're sorry, can't take him in. Where do they go for the day? Sorry, you got to be flexible with when life happens, because life happens.
Yeah.
And if you're at a place that's just like, oh, I don't know, you're calling out a lot, you're not going to want to be there and it doesn't really foster, the time. It's like you want to focus on, not just, being a great place to, want to come to initially, but to stay.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that one of the things to think about from that perspective is if you look outside of the profession, right? I mean, I have friends that, again, they had a kid and it was both the maternity leave and paternity leave. I think their husband works for a tech company. He was out for three months, I think they got.
That's that kind of crucial time, man. You remember, this wasn't too long ago for you. And for anyone, that's just one thing. I'm not saying, but it's a good example of how life happens and things that in your life that have to just take a little more priority than work. I would still say during some of that time, it's like, look, we just want you to check in, log into the workflow system, the practice management system, something, just especially if you're a manager yourself. You're just expected to check in with your team. I get that. But it doesn't require you, to be present, for, hours and hours at a time. That's a firm that values life first.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's an individual, right? So again, it's not necessary that it's going to be the same thing for everybody, right? It's looking at, as you
just
grow,
a couple of examples, I mean, it could be anything, individually, depending where your firm physically is.
Yeah.
Maybe you're like, we just, we really just, maybe we don't need everyone in the office all the time. Or maybe I don't know. It could be any number of things. Get creative. Yeah. Once you start seeing your staff as the people and individuals that they are, and meeting them where they're at, they'll feel like they're a part of something. They'll want to, to put in the time and the effort.
Now, can you give what's the opinion? Like, again, like I said, I mean, you have your ear to the ground, right? You're not just in this profession, but you hear what people are saying about the profession. Like, what's the outside view of the profession from your opinion that you're hearing, whether it's coming from people leaving and going to the private practice, whether it's people even at the grassroots level, high school, college, like what are you hearing in regards to the view of the profession itself?
I think it's just that. I think it's all the things I brought up initially. It's that, it's not very diverse. It's not really, the life-work balance is out of whack. Compensation is out of whack. And just the whole, it's still, again, and I know, trust me, I know firms that are making a conscious effort to change all of those things. And that is how it is going to happen. And it might not be a comfortable thing, especially leaning into technology more too. All that's out there, it's not, I understand this, there's some distrust, out there because it's different. It's new to you. It's not the way that you're comfortable doing things, not the way you're used to doing things. This is what I mean about living in the uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Is, just doing things, engaging in activities that maybe aren't just things that you're used to. It's not that, things that cause actual discomfort. That's totally different. I'm talking about things that are just not in that zone of, all right, this feels like what I'm used to.
Yeah.
That's what I hear from the outside. And, and then specifically the tax focus folks, I get it. I get the frustrations with the IRS, which is a totally underfunded body of the government and has been for so long, way behind on technology and processes, way behind on, their own staffing needs. And as long as they continue to oversee the collection of taxes and enforcing of tax laws, as long as they're that, play that role, there's individuals that have to deal with them, just like you do, with anything. And they're just getting too tied to that part of the business, has really, caused a lot of burnout. And so folks have either had to really, really reimagine their role as an accountant, without having to do that too much, if at all, or they're just, as you said, they're just dipping out. They're done.
Yeah,
it's been too much. They're going into other areas of work.
Yeah, and I appreciate you covering this again, a fun topic. And listen, I mean, it's a very real topic that needs to, again, it's uncomfortable, it's real. People need to think about it and listen to it and act on it now, right? And really look towards, okay, what can we do differently at the end of the day? So, and then just lightening the mood a little bit, right? Can you, let's look towards, okay, this year, where people can learn cover some of these areas as well. Because at the end of the day, people are also feeding them advice at different events around the country, right? Now, what are some of the top picks that you think that firm leaders should be going to get a grasp of these type of challenges and not just hear about the problems that, again, are being covered a lot in the media for sure, but now listen to some solutions as well.
Yeah.
Like you shared.
Things tend to get, they can turn into a bit of an echo chamber.
Yeah.
So, you want to be wary of things that are just going to be the same old, and you're just going to hear what you want to hear reflected back at you, or you're going to hear someone else's agenda reflected back at you. That's not going to affect any real change. Yeah. But if you're just going for some networking and CPE, go where your people are, first and foremost. But should you want to do something different, break out of the ordinary, hear maybe some other ideas. And again, these live events are very much about your community, connecting with others that you might not have, listening to them, as well as the folks who are put up on the stage, and even in the vendor areas too. So the few events that I know of, that let me point out the new ones. I'm not necessarily saying better or worse, but new on the scene, offering some different ideas. Out of the gate, I'm going to go with Accounting Today's Firm Growth Forum. A little biased there, I'm going to admit. I am on the advisory committee for that event. I'm not the only one. We have a pretty balanced committee of other practitioners and people who are recognizable in the accounting space.
I think that's in California this year, right?
It is. Right? It's second year. It's in San Diego, different location. It's another resort out in San Diego. That's going to be in May. Let me just solidify the dates for you all who are listening in at home. But I believe it is the 21st. It's 2 solid days of. It's interesting that they structured it this way. Usually, you don't see this. So what they want folks to do really is, you arrive on a Monday, right? So this is obviously before Memorial Day weekend. Yeah. So Tuesday the 21st, Wednesday the 22nd, the 2 solid days. So you arrive on like a Monday, settle in, maybe have some drinks in the lobby, catch up with some folks, and then it starts bright and early, Tuesday morning, full day agenda, workshops, keynotes, case studies on display. And then your breakout tracks, plenty of networking, 2 solid days. And at the end of the 2 days, sundown on the 22nd, big party. And then, should you choose to stay for that. And then everyone kind of can take off the next morning. So that's one. And Firm Growth Forum is really, it's not for everybody. It's not going to be for every firm owner out there. But for anyone who tends to be, growth minded. Not all firms are. That's not as important for them. But if you're looking to grow in some way, say you've added a CAS practice, or you're looking to, and you want to hear from some others, find out, tips, tricks, get a roadmap, get a plan together. Great opportunity to do that. Or if you're looking to, add some staff, maybe merge in, maybe you're looking to buy, you're looking to grow through M&A or succession in some way, look at some succession plan. All that is growth. This is the show for you. It was only 1 year, but the folks that I'm seeing that are going and went last year, more mid to larger firms, 20 and up staff, I should say. Not that some smallers aren't there, but that's who it tends to attract.
Okay, cool.
Second, and this one's pretty great. It was a bit of a grassroots effort last year. The folks who were on Twitter later became X, but they didn't change their moniker. Bunch of tax professionals decided we need, after the 3+ years that we had, we need a break. We need each other. We are going to form an event. So last year in Denver, a bunch of tax professionals, CPAs, and enrolled agents got together under the moniker of Tax Twitter. They all follow each other. They all talk to each other on Twitter X, and they put an event together. And they got some sponsorship, and it was just all networking and talking about tax code changes and their own practices. So it's going into its second year. That's going to be in Chicago. I'm not sure exactly where, but that's going to be, I believe, the 18th to the 20th of July. And that is going to roll into another event that I'm pushing hard for, is Bridging the Gap. That is brought to you by the folks at Trimerit Group. Those who follow the Unique CPA podcast, started by Randy Crabtree, CPA. Yep. And he's the co-founder of Trimerit Group as well. Last year's event really tended to attract more forward-minded, mostly small and mid-sized firms who were wanting to be challenged and wanting to hear and see about new technology and new ways of working. Just as we were talking about earlier, Lawrence, these are the folks that want to know what to do to be more inclusive, to have more life-work balance. There was a session there that really stood out in my mind about a woman, a tax professional, got up there and spoke very bluntly and forwardly about how she and her husband took a vacation in the middle of March, right in the middle of tax season. And, shock, horror, right? How do you do that? And she runs a small firm. She did that, and she explained how. Walked everyone through the process. This is how you do that. We just made a commitment to do it. Talk about living in the uncomfortable. Not a very comfortable thing to think about doing, but once you do it and you come back, it was like 4 days, and you're refreshed and you're ready, and you've communicated all this with your clients. That kind of thing that puts the individual and individuals in your firm first. And it was just a very free and open kind of event where, people felt safe to kind of talk about any of these things, laugh, cry, what have you, about what they could be doing better. And definitely folks showed up at this event who were like, yeah, I am thinking of just shutting it all down at the end of this year. Somebody talked me out of it, kind of frame of mind. So if you find yourself like that's you, or you want to hear from these folks, definitely show up Bridging the Gap. That's also going to be at it's not quite Chicago. It's at it's in Rosemont, which is kind of where O'Hare is. Really nice hotel out there, the Lowe's Hotel. It's plenty of things to say and do around there. Also, for folks who might have missed it, ZeroCon is back. For the zeros in the world, or the folks who may be thinking about, hey, I really have known about this platform for a while. I don't really use it. A couple of my clients do. I'd like to know more. I'd like to know more about their partners that they have. Again, tends to attract the more sort of forward looking. And again, plenty of folks, plenty of pro advisors, plenty of QuickBooks folks show up. Definitely when they had it 2 years ago in New Orleans, this year is in Nashville in the middle of August. They were like, yeah, I want to see what Xero is all about.
Yeah.
So again, vendor focused event, but some familiar partners that go, meaning some of the technology companies and firms that you might know, and you'll hear from Xero ambassadors and other firms who might be very more well versed in the platform and what it can do for you and your clients.
Yeah, and I can vouch. I went to ZeroCon a few years ago, a very fun event pre-COVID. I went, it might have even been in Tennessee. But it was very good event. I enjoyed it a lot. So, and these other ones are definitely newer on the radar, right? In the past 2-3 years, they've really come up. So again, and I'm pushing really the boundaries of, okay, a bit more uncomfortable for some, right, in that sense, but talking about these issues, talking about what we can do differently, right, to keep growing and moving the profession along.
Yeah, and a little bit different. And one more I want to just mention, just on a personal level, because I know him and have known him for so long. Those who know Hector Garcia, he's pretty well known, figure, thought leader, what have you. Put any title you want on him. A lot of people know Hector, and he's been deep in the QuickBooks world for a while. He actually has launched his own event called RAIM, I think, 2024 Individual Conversations for Accountants. And that is going to be in October on the 23rd to the 26th in Fort Lauderdale. And I think that is fantastic because I know Hector is very, very, like myself, Hector is very passionate about this profession. And Reframe. Reframe is, kind of similar to kind of, the goals of Bridging the Gap, but it's thinking about yourself as a professional, an accounting professional, and, truly helping to rebrand it. Because that's really what's needed, man. It's you asked the question earlier about, just this impression that people have about accountants, even other accounting professionals, what they do, how they do things. And, so he's making an effort to help try to and change that. as well. And I applaud him for it. But it's really great, man, seeing, we're a couple years removed from, the worst of the pandemic that we saw, which all but shut down live events.
Yeah.
And a lot of folks over the years, and having been to so many over the 20 plus years I've been doing this, it was a shame to just kind of see the same old getting, again, and there's some other great events out there that I encourage people to continue to just find your people, go to where, you're also comfortable going and you get the most value from. If you know that you want to go to a Scaling New Heights or an Engage or QuickBooks Connect or, any number of vendor events that are out there throughout the year, because your people are there, go. Definitely, because they're your support, they're your community. Yeah. But it's so great to just see, Lawrence, that people are willing to put time and freaking money into, and these are not cheap affairs to put on a live event. You're really literally putting your neck out there and saying, I believe in this. I think this can work. I'm going to put my time and my money into this because I think people are going to go. I think they're going to get some value out of it, and they need something, else. And, there was a time where I really thought live events were going to kind of go away because, of their purpose. A lot of them were just, well, I'm going for the CPE and I get to see some people that I like, but now that you can get your CPE pretty much anywhere, like I love what Blake and David are doing with Earmark. So easy. Just listen to a podcast, get some CPE. Fantastic. You've been able to, webinars, for years, but you don't get that human element, that human interaction that we all need. And that's the thing that's really going to move this profession forward, which, as you know, that's what I'm all about.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm very passionate, which is awesome. And again, really happy to have you on, Seth. I think that, again, coming full circle around like the event side of things as well. And I think it was at Bridging the Gap. They did a special deal or something for high school students and stuff like that as well. But
yes, that's happening this year. People who are wanting to come, high school, college, people wanting to come into the profession, definitely discounts for them. Highly encouraged to get the new blood, potential new blood, who want to really see what this profession's all about, see what accounting professionals are truly like.
Yeah, behind closed doors. And but yeah, I mean, firm leaders bring interns to these events, bring team members, younger team members,
your junior members. They have to know. And I know all the ones that I mentioned, from Growth Forum, Bridging the Gap, all the rest. Same. Leadership should go because ultimately you're making those decisions, but bring some staff too.
Yeah. No, agree.
If you can.
So, no, super appreciate it, Seth. Thank you for joining me. And is there anything that you want to say? Just maybe give you details where people can find you as well, just so that, just to wrap it up now.
Certainly. Well, everyone can always find me, and I have to, thank the folks that really helped me out at the start. My buddy Rory Henry and the folks at Arrowroot, they, really kind of saw something in me and helped me get my domain, which is where you can find me, SethFineberg.com. You can also type in accountantsforward.com as well. Sorry, Arrowroot family offices are there. They're out in Irvine. Yeah, exactly. Real difficult. I've got a weekly newsletter. It's free. If you don't mind me clogging up your inbox once a week, please do sign up. Also, you might, start to get it if you get the CPA trend lines communiques. You'll probably see me there as well through a new relationship that I have.
Cool.
With CPA Trendlines. So you'll get the Fineberg Review. That's my newsletter. And then, of course, you can look me up on LinkedIn, Twitter. I am at B2B Seth. You can chat a little bit there. I usually just share some daily musings and thoughts and things like that about not just accounting, but music and food and beer.
So you're a normal so you've got a different life as well, Seth. Like,
indeed,
outside of accountants, not that no accountants will have a different life outside of their accounting. So
I wrote a whole article about that, about how you need to find your other, but we would need a whole other hour to talk about that.
Yeah. So, but no, I really appreciate it, Seth, and thank you for everyone joining Business Beyond Borders, and we look forward to seeing you on the next episode. And again, you mentioned Rory. I'm pretty sure Rory's on one of the future episodes, if not the one following this. So
he has always a lot to say. Definitely bringing financial planning and the family office to the CPA profession. It's another great way for them to grow.
Yep, agreed. Thanks, Seth. Appreciate it. Talk to you later.
Thanks, Lawrence.
Thank you for tuning in to Business Beyond Borders. I'm Lawrence Whittam, and it's been a pleasure bringing you impactful insights tailored for the modern CPA firm. Remember, the world of accounting is vast and ever evolving, and we're here to navigate it together. For more resources and episodes, don't forget to subscribe and reach out to our experts. Until next time, keep pushing the boundaries of your business and explore the limitless possibilities beyond borders.